He is King McKay. Now if the Season 7 trailer showed us anything, it showed us how Westeros is about to go to war all over again, with Dany, Cersei, the North, everyone priming for war. Now the weird thing is though, that Dany seems to have the clearest advantage. She has 3 dragons, the huge ass Dothraki army, her Unsullied, free riders, tons of free slaves, and the support of Dawn, who was not in the war at all, and the Reach, who has a lot of soldiers still. So the big question for Season 7 is how the invasion of Dany will work out, how fast she will take the kingdom, or what things will go wrong and who will be fighting against her. So we're going to cover all of that and a lot more in this video. Now the first thing we really have to talk about when discussing Dany's invasion is Cersei and her position in the realm. I just cannot see Cersei living if Dany succeeds in her invasion. Cersei is sitting on the Iron Throne. Her family is the one that massacred King's Landing and the giant sack of it. She will hate Dany the moment she hears about her, and Dany will quickly find out how crazy her from informants. And Cersei will also see Dany as the younger, more beautiful queen that will cast her down. But the thing is, Cersei has a contract into Season 8, and we know that she's going to be an in-game character. So what is going to happen in Season 7 that does not allow for Cersei's death? I think it will be the botch of her invasion. So let's cover the things that could possibly ever make this happen, even though she has, like, everything on her side. The Unsullied. They may be very well trained by the Masters of Astapor, and very good against fighting Dothraki, but they're not actually going to be the most effective force when it comes to sieges, fighting in Westeros-style knights, and a whole bunch of other things that they'll be coming across soon when they're versing Cersei. The main employment for Unsullied in Essos is to be household guards and for cities to hire them to protect them against Dothraki raiders. Though saying that, Dany will probably still have to use them as her primary sense of structure and fighting force, mainly because they're well trained and organized compared to the Dothraki and the free riders she has. And those free riders that she brought across comes with strings attached, e.g. tons and tons of freed slaves that she has to support that aren't going to fight. Now we don't know for sure how many slaves stayed in Meereen and Slaver's Bay compared to how many came to her with Westeros, but if a lot of them came to Westeros, that's going to be a huge food burden, a huge tax burden, that will add to the already immensely drained kingdoms that are there. And this could be used by Cersei and her enemies to spin the small folk and the people of Westeros be very nationalistic and fight against Dany because she's like the outside invader, heading a Dothraki army with tons of Meereenese and Astapor people and all these people who are very tanned and from the outside of the world with a different culture, speaking different languages. She doesn't look like the kind of restoration hope for this already very war-torn kingdom. Though with the support of the entire Reach and Dawn, which has an untouched army from any war, and the Reach being an extremely populous kingdom with a ton of resources and food, who's been supplying the Crown's Land with everything that they need to survive at the moment, you know, all of that backing Dany will counteract some of the foreign look she kind of gets from the small folk, because half the kingdom's already backing her. But of course, Dany does have a ginormous Dothraki army, and 3 dragons, which gives her a huge step up on what Aegon had when he first conquered the 7 kingdoms. So it wouldn't even matter that much if the small folk didn't like her because she's just too powerful anyway. Especially because one of the biggest advantages Cersei has at the moment is castles, and dragons are pretty much the anti-castle of Westeros. So at this point it seems like Dany has a clean sweep of the entire kingdom. There just doesn't seem to be a thing she can't overcome, or a thing that she doesn't have complete dominance in. So how is it that Cersei will still survive into Season 8? Now this was a big question, but now when we're getting the trailers, we're starting to think it has something to do with Euron Greyjoy, because he seems to be the main effective fighting force against Dany's armies from what we can see so far. So how is the Ironborn's just random fleet they built out of nowhere gonna compete with Dany's immense forces? Storm. I think it's quite possible that a storm breaks up Dany's fleet because it is so large and they're travelling so far before it even reaches Westeros. Now we don't have a ton of evidence pointing towards a storm, but we do know that it's a stormy season and that there's no way a fleet could realistically travel that far in Westeros in the stormy seasons of that size. And if there was to be a storm, a lot of her army could be washed up in Essos, different parts of Westeros, and be picked off in different ways. For example, the shot we get in the trailer could be Euron picking off the Greyjoy/Dornish part of the fleet. Now the storm is just speculation, so it could be that Dany sent them to different parts of Westeros to land and take different areas, and that's how Euron targets them. But I feel like a storm would make a lot of sense for the story at the moment. And if Euron was to succeed in doing this, and he did take out Yara and Theon's fleet, who we believe are in the same part of the fleet as the Dornish because of that clip that we got in the trailer of Ilaria and Yara kissing. And with their defeat, he could make an alliance with Cersei and make a huge offensive attack into both Dorne and the Reach. This would make Euron a very big target for Dany that she has to deal with immediately because he's on the offensive. This could give a lot of time for Cersei to be able to survive well into season 8. Because even though Cersei is relatively weak compared to Dany, it's a possibility that because she has the Crownlands, the Stormlands, the Westerlands, and the Riverlands, plus the fleets of Euron, she would be able to survive quite a time if Dany was mainly focused on fighting Euron. So I think that Dany's invasion, the huge forces she's going to have, is going to be broken up somehow, whether by orders, or by the storm, or by mishaption. Euron will start picking off a different fleet, kind of making an alliance with Cersei. Cersei will bring up all the different dredge of the different forces she possibly has at her disposal. She'll nationalize the country against a foreign foe, because that's what Dany looks like. And in the time that Dany has to deal with all of that, I think Jon Snow will be able to make a connection with her somehow, and they will be able to talk about the greater threat that's up north, and this will force Dany to have to set aside killing Cersei to make a peace with her so they can quicken everything up, resolve their issues, and fight the true foe coming from the north. And that is what's going to happen after the many years of build up and fighting and different offline strategies and distractions that have made Dany's entire quest for the last 6 seasons take so long for her to finally arrive in Westeros. So tell me how wrong you think I am about everything in the comment section below, and I will respond as best as I possibly can. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should really do that, because I'm going to go through tons of different footage and every little teaser and the trailers, everything we get, and try to find all the cool stuff that you want to know about and put it in the videos for you to enjoy.